as how to secure your system, you can harden the system, turn off things you don't need. Don't use default passwords, use long passwords. Don't write them down. If you have a sticky note on your screen with your password, you may as well not have a password. Find out what your vulnerabilities on your system are. I mean, you know, some of this stuff is relatively point and click. You say, check my vulnerabilities on the system, and it will spit out a report. Nice little HTML report. Chances are, if you click on it, it will tell you how to fix the problem. Just go through and fix it. It takes some time. Specific countermeasures to a denial of service attack. Some people tend to do denial of service attacks a lot. So you can set firewalls to filter out bad traffic. Not always the most useful thing, but it happens as a good way of filtering things out, just like spam on email. If you know that a certain email address always sends spam, just block it. Definitely patch your operating system. Always patch your operating system. You need probably not if not the latest, the version right before it. And I'm not talking major versions. I'm talking their minor bug fix versions. Limit the time and the resources an activity can consume. Going back to our CTF event, every login, in order to combat the little SSH fork bomb we were talking about, was only allowed 5 SSH connections. So even if they forked all their processes, they could only create 5 processes on our box. There was no way of creating more. The operating system locked them out. And that's how we got around that little issue. By limiting them. Yes, they can still do some damage, but not nearly as much as if we didn't limit them. Excuse me. And of course, you know, you should be monitoring this stuff. If it's a system critical box, you should have some sort of monitoring on it, using a handful of detection systems. As far as hacking, use account and password policies, manage your groups, make your passwords sane. So, you know, password 1, even if you can make it meet the criteria, is probably not a good password. Change default accounts. Use restricted accounts for everything that you don't absolutely need to run as administrator. Patch your machines. Turn off services you don't need. And watch out for social engineering. So a computer is only as secure as the people who use it. If I call ahead and say, hey, I'm going to need to log in, or if I'm impersonating your IT, hey, I need to log into your box. What's your username and password? Never give out username and passwords. Ever. No one should ever need your username and password. If they have access to the machine, they should be able to get in. Backdoors. Disable unnecessary accounts. If you see an account on a box that you don't recognize, look into it. Don't just assume it's supposed to be there. Scan the system, make sure that, you know, there's no known backdoors on there, no users you don't know. Just pay attention to it, monitor it. Most of this comes down to just pay attention to it and monitor it. Security is going to do the system's going to do a very good job of protecting itself, provided that it's set up properly and, you know, users are careful, but just look into it occasionally. Main memory issues, countermeasuring or protecting against that. Patch your operating system. There's some security features that will really help with a lot of this, in that they will actually clear your memory before reallocating it. It can slow things down, but if security is that important, and in a lot of cases it is, it should be, make sure you reclaim memory when your processes terminate. Just patch your systems. I think the number 1 or number 2 thing on every single one of these slides is patch your systems. Patch your system for escalation of privileges, monitor it, and don't run everything as root. If you get in that habit, bad things can happen. Because if you're running as root and a process decides, hey, I'm going to start doing malicious things, you ran it as root. It's running with your permissions. So bad things can happen there. Default settings. Disable unnecessary accounts, disable unnecessary services. If it doesn't need to be running, it shouldn't be running. And, again, monitor your system.